Yes, everybody, welcome from Atlanta Airport, which is not my first choice, but it's where I have a 4-hour layover and I'm hanging out and getting a million messages. And where I can't use my phone to log in because it keeps giving me this crazy thing. I can show you guys so everybody can see what I'm dealing with. Not that it's, anything but a first world concern, but I figured I would share it because I know other people have gone through the same thing. Um, so I tried to log in and it says, "Oh, your account recovery is successful." And then it says this every time I try to recover my account. Google 400 error. We're sorry. You don't know what happened, but you shouldn't try it. So I can't get into my account, which is really frustrating. But I can at least get in on here and broadcast. And after 10 days at South by Southwest in Austin, it is pretty insane. Doing Raymond and Logan. Hope y'all are doing okay. I definitely feel like kind of low energy and burned out. God, it's been such an amazing week. Hello, May. It was, a week of talking about criminal justice reform and talking about nonprofits and activism, but also talking to like venture capitalists and talking to people in tech and listening to amazing lectures and talking about everything from, the healing power of psychedelics and the combination with tech to, the future of dining and the future of automotive. Went to some big panel. A friend of my host was talking about autonomous trucks and how that they're the future. And I will never have truck drivers again in 2 years, but at the same time, maybe we'll be able to pay people to do them remotely, or I don't know. It's just been crazy. I'm sorry, brother. Yeah, hopefully you can sit at McDonald's anyways. I remember we had one locally. It actually got complaints from the community, but the whole thing was they were letting people who didn't have homes stay in there. Either get a free cup of coffee or just stay in there to stay warm. It's such a tough balance when everybody wants their business to do well and they want to support. At the same time, people need to eat. People need to stay comfortable. Yeah, it does feel like I've been doing really well. It's also just kind of intimidating. It's, you know, I guess in a lot of ways I was a big fish in a small pond inside because, yeah, I mean, I was teaching or I was tutoring or I was, writing or I was getting essays published. Then I go to a conference where people are, ambassadors to the UN and they're the ones getting their books on the bestseller list and they're doing amazing things. What I really found, and I talked to somebody else about this, was it wasn't so much what people were doing because there was nobody there who was being boastful. There was nobody there that was bragging or showing off. They were all just interesting, genuine, kind of amazing people. And when I saw that, that what bonded them all together wasn't a common interest because they had totally different lives. It was this kind of personality of curiosity and interest and drive. And it really inspired me. And it feels like a big world. Like the people I was staying with, every time they go to these big tech conferences, go to these international councils, or go to whatever in DC, they say that's the real world, and they have to go back to small town where they are. And I think that's such a different thing to recognize that sometimes the place at home, the place that we thought was home for so long, maybe isn't the big world or isn't the way things are. But I don't know what that means. I've got a couple meetings set up. I try to see what we can do with the nonprofits, see if we can get some funding. See also if we can just raise some more awareness and work with some other groups. Really excited. I've got some speaking engagements this week. I'm speaking at Washington Lee University, and then I'm going up to DC to speak at the UPSEA conference. And then the week after that, we have Brian Stevenson coming to a group. He's going to present at John Paul Jones Arena in Charlottesville. If you don't know anything about Equal Justice or Equal Justice Initiative or haven't read Just Mercy, please do. It's a life-changing book. It's absolutely amazing. Just kind of like this, like in the airport. Let's see. Where I was a year and a half ago was nothing like this. Even getting out, like even once I actually got out, it was still such a different experience. It was still believing I was going to live in this small place or, living in a guest room in a house that wasn't mine or living in a tiny house for a little while to just have a space that I could call my own that felt comfortable because it wasn't so big, to now being in this airport. I've been in this airport like 5 times in the last month or 2 months or something. It's insane. And being able to, connect with people and share and, make plans to get to know people all over because I got everybody's number, I got everybody's email. So now when I'm in New York, I get to meet some of these people and hopefully get some inspiration from them or share what I'm doing or find a way to collaborate. I even pitched this crazy thing. I pitched an XR reentry program. And this was before I really understood. XR is like extended reality. So it's a combination of virtual reality and augmented reality. Augmented reality is where like you look at things and you have things overlaid on top of them, like Google Lens or some of the programs they were doing. And so I was pitching this without a complete understanding of the tech, but realizing how vital it could be to allow people to operate in a different situation or in a different place. Because if we think about it, if you learn institutional living, whether it's the military or whether it's prison or whether it's just in a school setting, if you only know how to operate in that place, if that's the only place you've seen or the only place you've ever done anything, it feels really crazy to then go out into the world to different language and different settings and different expectations and different social mores. Where if we could simulate that, if we could give people a taste of what they're getting into or a taste of the world they're going to, allow them to practice their interview speech or their interview process in front of what somebody that looks like an actual boss or looks like an actual employer rather than in a in a prison room. If we could make things more realistic and add sensory input, I think we could have a much more successful reentry program. I think we would end up having a greater impact. So I don't know how realistic that is. I don't know how far out the tech is because they could do it right now. Like I went through the virtual reality exhibit and the XR exhibit, and it was amazing. Some of the games and some of the surgical stuff they're doing, and just anything you think was just mind blowing. But it takes so much money and it takes technology. We don't even have internet access in prison. So how do they expect that to actually happen? So now I have people like I've got to write 2 pitches. I got to pitch this big group of politicians, and I've got to pitch another kind of like personal project. And so now I've got to put together pitch decks and figure out how to do slideshows. And I already had to figure it out for the South by Southwest presentation, and I'm not used to that, but it went really well. And it was so cool to be able to have the tech, and even though the tech didn't all work, be able to like show these pictures from my life and share something that's really close and near and dear to me, and have that be a part of the story. So not just telling, I'm actually able to show that, because I really wish I could introduce people to some people from my past or some people in my life now. And some have said, hey, no, I really need my privacy. I want to do that. Other people are interested, but it's just hard to get in the room with everybody. But I'd really like to tell the stories of these people. And that's one of the things we want to do with the nonprofit is, highlight people that are working, highlight people that are struggling, highlight groups that are doing, basically empowering them to do better. I'd start telling those stories. So we've got a project coming up in April that we're going to do and try to get all the film logistics and everything together to really start putting a human face on this experience. And it's not just about saying, oh, well, you're going to be fine. It's like, no, like, let's talk about this. We need a mix of opportunity and willingness. And not everybody's going to be willing, but if they don't have the opportunities, we can't expect them to be willing until it's an actual possibility, and vice versa. Some people will be so some people will have the opportunity but not be willing. Other people will be willing and scramble and try but just not have that opportunity. And it makes such a difference what room you're in, the social capital, who and the conversations you can have. I think that's just really problematic, because if you imagine being in a situation where even if you have the best idea in the world, you can't find anybody to invest in you. I think about like The Pursuit of Happiness, the Will Smith movie. I think it's a great example. You can have a great idea, but you have to work and work and work. Whereas, to some people, you can have a bad idea and somebody just throw money at you. And as we're talking about like raising people out of poverty, creating more opportunity, changing the social structure, it makes a big difference to see people around you who own their own jobs. It makes a big difference to see people around them that own their own homes, that are invested in their own lives, that feel empowered. Because you grow up in a neighborhood where everybody works for somebody else, and all they do is take the money from somebody else they work for and give it to their landlord because nobody owns their homes. It's hard to say, oh, we need to invest in ourselves and believe in ourselves, because it's really not a place where people are believed in. And the same issue with youth violence and the way people are seen. Actually, I've got a bunch of texts from somebody right now saying he's going to do a video on something that just happened, and I haven't had a chance to see it. But like I said, I just wanted to check in and say hello, since it's been such a crazy time. I don't know. I think I made a shorter video about this, but it is so profoundly uncomfortable to be in a different situation and around different people and just feel out of place, but at the same time feel like this is where I want to be. And again, it's not about like what people are doing. Some of the people there were incredibly successful academically, but didn't have a lot of money. Other people were tremendously wealthy, but didn't have their name in the paper. But it wasn't about what they'd accomplished. It was about who they were. It was about the conversations and the curiosity and the interaction. It was just, with the exception of 2 people, everybody that I met was somebody that I want to meet again or that I want to be in the room with. So thank you. I'm good, Robin. I'm exhausted. I'm running on not a lot of sleep. Went to the Air movie premiere, the Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, Jason Bateman, Viola Davis, Chris Tucker movie, which was phenomenal. Like, I didn't really want to go. They were like, oh, we're going to go to a movie. And I was like, we're in Austin, Texas for the last night of South by Southwest. Like, why are we going to go to a movie? This doesn't make any sense. But I went, and it was phenomenal, and they did a great job on stage, doing the commentary afterwards. And I got up to ask a question, but I was one person behind, and the person in front of me got to ask, but I didn't. And it was cool, though, because it really was, it's a movie about hope. Like, it is a movie about people knowing their own worth and knowing their own value. I think that's so important, because it talked about how basically the Air Jordan brand changed the structure of how athletes get paid. It's not just that, like, oh, we need to worry about athlete pay, but it's the idea that people who do the work are actually the ones profiting from it, rather than just a company who says, oh, we're going to invest in your work, and then we're going to take all the profit. Because I think that model needs to be expanded. One of the things they did for the movie that I think is so great is everybody that worked on the movie got equity in that movie. So the harder they work and the better that movie does, the more money they make. because the same principle, we're saying that people who do the work deserve to have part of the pie, essentially, rather than just working for the person who finances it, who continues to profit. And that's the idea of like collaborative capitalism, allowing everybody to be a part of something, and it's such an important thing. So, yeah, South by was insane. I feel like I have to go back to the real world, but like I said, I'm driving to go speak at the law school, and I'm driving to go speak at UPSIA. So it's not like I'm going back to real world yet. But then I think April's going to be slow. I've got, like I said, I've got a couple events and a couple like projects for the nonprofit, but not a lot of traveler speaking. We're doing a local thing. We're going to have the tour of the juvenile facility, and then we're going to have one of the kids get furloughed to come out and speak on a panel to basically a local community group, which I'm so excited about. And then I don't know. I think May I'm in Boston, so I got to figure that out. And I was so happy because I got to get a bunch of people to do this. This is the art from the Juvenile Detention Center. So the kids designed and printed all these and these shirts. And not only did I wear them, but I got to get the leading mind in quantum computing, a guy who's an ambassador to CERN, to put that shirt on and take a picture with it to show these kids that their reach, especially when they're doing something positive, just how far it can be. But again, it's recognizing that that's about connections, because if I hadn't been going there, that shirt may not have made it there. But I want to create the pathways to where people who are doing the work and putting in the effort can have those connections and have those conversations. Just think it's really important. Yeah, I'll show it again. So, Together We Rise. And I literally was so last minute. I picked him up at the detention center right as I was leaving to go to the airport. And the idea was we hashtagged all of them, Together We Rise Free. I sent a bunch of people home with them, but as far as I can tell, nobody but me has done it. But I did get to take it. It's some beautiful places, and other people are taking them home and said they're going to do it in Canada and do it in England and do it in different, basically take these pictures and let kids know that they're remembered. And I really wish I brought the shirt to the movie last night, because if I had been able to, bully my way to the front of the line and have these posters, have these shirts and say, hey, Ben Affleck, hey, Matt Damon, hey, Viola Davis, hey, Chris Tucker, we all take a picture with this shirt. And I think that's something that's hard for people to turn down, right? It's like, hey, we want these kids to know that they have potential and they have possibility and they have agency. And I think they probably would have done it. So. Yeah, it's such a cool program, and the art teacher at the local detention center is an absolute hero. She is one of the most impressive human beings I've ever met, and she put this together, and I'm just trying to amplify it. I'm just trying to use this, and I think I'm going to meet with her when I get back, and we're going to talk about doing stickers and trying to basically send them out using nonprofit money, or maybe getting donations to be able to fund them, and yes, send them out into the world is, again, a model or a way of showing kids just how far their reach can be, and starting a project like this for other people. Yeah, because I think in the end, it's just about investment in people. And right now, we don't really invest in people. We just got to throw them away. But, well, I don't know what else to talk about. So unless you guys have some questions, I'm probably going to lay here and go to sleep, because I have another 2 hours before my flight after being here for more than 2 hours already. And, I'm beat. I'm exhausted. So I hope you have a wonderful night. And thank you for letting me check in. And maybe one of these days, Google will actually fix my phone so I can get on and actually post videos rather than doing that. Oh, you say, what's for dinner? Hold on, we can show you. So I have this thing when I travel where I try to spend as little money as possible, and especially like for this trip. I mean, I get to crash on couches, but we have dried bananas, beef jerky. I already ate the whole thing of what's it, Chex Mix or trail mix, and then I've got a bunch of mixed trail mix stuff, and where the hell they are? I've got a bunch of protein bars in here somewhere. I just threw the box away, so they're mixed in the bottom. Oh no! And I accidentally just turned my beard trimmers on, so if I go through security, they'll think I'm crazy because they're constantly going off. That is the problem with having everything packed into one small space. Hold up, where are they at? I'll find them. Yep. Probably not helpful. But here are my protein bars. And I don't ever do it ahead of time. People buy the really healthy ones or the low sugar ones, the one you're supposed to do. I always just buy the ones that are at the grocery store because I don't think ahead of time. But yeah, it is a vibrator. Don't tell anybody. But, all right, y'all have a good night.